The markets may be closed, but the business stories are just heating up. I'm Robert Tang. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Here are this afternoon's top business stories. Solar Philippines hit with 24 billion peso penalties as energy contract failures trigger market shock. Sara Discaya, 9 others plead not guilty in high-profile Graft case. Court moves forward. FDI inflows to the Philippines plunged nearly 40% in October. Investor confidence takes a hit. Estrada pushes bill to amend Bank Secrecy Law, giving BSP sweeping powers to tackle fraud. Apple and Google forge Gemini deal. Alphabet gains strategic edge in AI voice tech. The biggest winners in the national budget this year aren't mega projects or big-ticket agencies. They're local government units. Acting Budget Secretary Rolando Toledo says LGUs will receive a 1.19 trillion national tax allotment for 2026, plus 31.7 billion pesos in special shares and another 1.41 billion pesos from fire code fees. That's roughly 17.5% of the total 6.793 trillion peso national budget, making LGUs the top direct recipients of public funds. Toledo notes this reinforces the role as the main planners and implementers of social services at the community level. The Department of Interior and Local Government urges careful use, highlighting that this year's NTA is 15% higher than last year, ensuring funds support programs that directly benefit constituents nationwide. The promise of clean power falls short as the Philippines' largest solar pipeline ends with a bill, not a breakthrough. The Department of Energy announces 24 billion pesos in penalties against Congressman Leandro Levisa's Solar Philippines after terminating more than 11,000 megawatts of contracts for failing to meet production commitments. Energy Secretary Sharon Garin says the penalties cover performance funds, contractual obligations, and other financial commitments. She says the company fails to respond to official notices and fails to renew required performance bonds. The move follows findings that Solar Philippines fails to deliver nearly 12 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity despite repeating warnings from the DOE. A high-stakes corruption case unfolds in Davao Occidental. Contractor Sara Discaya and 9 others plead not guilty to graft and malversation of funds over a 96.5 million peso ghost flood control project. The arraignment proceeds after the court dismissed motions to quash the case and transfer custody. Some accused retirees are exempted from preventive suspension. The pre-trial is scheduled for February 3, and none of the accused made statements to the media. A tax meant to support tourism now faces scrutiny for making travel more expensive for the very Filipinos it serves. Senator Raffy Tulfo renews his push to remove the travel tax for Filipinos flying economy class, calling it an undue financial burden on ordinary travelers. Under Senate Bill number 88, the tax remains in place for business and first-class passengers. Tulfo says the structure creates a more equitable system by shifting the cost away from budget travelers. He says the proposal does not affect funding for programs of TIEZA, CHED, or the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. The biggest source of jobs come from the smallest players, and Senator Joel Villanueva says the 2026 budget should finally treat them that way. He emphasizes that strengthening micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, is key to sustain job creation, urging the government to prioritize the sector in next year's spending plan. Villanueva notes that MSMEs account for nearly 100% of registered businesses and provide 2/3 of total employment. He says these figures make targeted interventions essential for realistic and broad-based job growth. The senator renews his push for Senate Bill number 1155, the MSME Stimulus Act. The measure offers interest-free loans, wage subsidies, and other support to help MSMEs expand and survive during crises. Foreign capital pulls back just as global competition for investment intensifies. Net inflows of foreign direct investments into the Philippines plunged nearly 40% year-on-year in October. Preliminary data from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas shows FDI net inflows fall by 39.8% to $642 million. That is down from $1.06 billion in the same month last year. The decline comes as foreigners' net investments in debt instruments also slump, adding to the overall pullback in capital flows. A law designed to protect privacy now comes under fire for protecting possible abuse. Senator Jinggoy Estrada filed Senate Bill number 1047 to amend the Bank Secrecy Law, allowing the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to examine bank deposits when there is reasonable ground to suspect fraud, serious irregularity, or unlawful activity. Estrada says Republic Act 1405, also known as the Secrecy Bank Deposits Law, has been used to shield ill-gotten wealth. He says it has also facilitated tax evasion and money laundering. Under the proposal, the BSP, with Monetary Board approval, may probe deposits even in closed banks. The measures include safeguards against political harassment and protects deposits made before the law takes effect. A bigger promise gives way to a tighter target as the government shifts from ambition to delivery in its housing drive. The Marcos administration recalibrates its housing goal to 1.133 million units for the entire presidency, with more than 400,000 units already delivered. Housing Senior Undersecretary Henry Yap says the strategy moves away from condo-heavy projects. He says the focus expands to house and lot only, and rental housing to meet demand outside Metro Manila, while Pag-ibig loan interest rates fall to as low as 3%. Additional steps streamline permitting, roll out a beneficiary-centric 4PH program, and revive the community mortgage program to speed up delivery and keep homes affordable. Today, we explore the 28 to 34 trap, a stage where young professionals often feel stuck in their careers, struggle with finances, and struggle to plan long-term. How they navigate this period can define career trajectory, earning potential, and leadership opportunities. And joining us to break down the economic pressures, workplace impact, and strategic solutions is psychologist and psychometrician Professor Justin Ray and Chavez. Good afternoon, Professor, and welcome to Business Brief.
Hi, Sir Robert, and good afternoon to our audiences. Maraming salamat po for having on the show.
Now,
Good afternoon.
Professor, how does feeling stuck at 28 to 34 affect promotion pipelines, leadership development, and organizational competitiveness?
Okay, sir. Salamat, Sir Robert. Actually, for those individuals who are within the 28 to 34 result, these are the individuals who are having a developmental pressure point, wherein these individuals have issues when it comes to their career. Okay, there's a possibility that they're more on shifting from exploration to the possibilities that they have an issues when it comes to consolidation. Meaning, sir, when it comes to their stable career, finances, and even their relationships, okay, they're more focused on, especially when it comes to leadership, and even the pipelines are affected because of the pressure being affected and the stress, okay, that they do experience, especially, sir.
Now, Professor, how do student debt, housing costs, or delayed wealth accumulation influence workplace decision-making and entrepreneurial risk-taking?
Actually, sir, when it comes to decision-making, especially these days, these individuals are affected, brought by their pressure when it comes to their colleagues, brought by their, especially some individuals within their batchmates. For example, sir, there's a possibility brought by the high expectations of the individuals around them. It affects, and that's why they are trapped within this age range. Because of their perspective, there's a possibility, there's also development of anxiety. In some cases, some develop depressive episodes brought by the trap experience and the emotional pressure that they do have, Sir Robert.
Now, Professor, within this age group, can fear of failure or indecision at this stage become a systemic risk for companies, and how can it be measured or mitigated?
Okay. Actually, sir, when it comes to this kind of activity, okay, it's good that the HR department also in these companies have a good process of checking individuals. And yeah, usually, sir, the company have an annual checkup. Okay, it's good that the company also have the capabilities to check the employees to have their mental health checkup So at least we can mitigate, we can properly manage the emotional costs, because the long-term effect of the mental health effect of the trap that this individual experienced, there's a possibility that they some individuals might develop issues when it comes to their career. So it's good that this companies that we do have, especially the business, either small or big business these days, it's good to manage both the mental health of these individuals, also the physical health of our employees, sir.
Now, how does peer benchmarking via social media affect career mobility, innovation capacity, and professional risk-taking?
Actually, sir, when it comes to the social media, there's a possibility of high risk of social comparison, especially when it comes to career success. Because there's a possibility brought by the trap that we do feel, emotional trap, okay? The possibility of comparing themselves, not just through pictures, even through words, okay? Even some individuals posted their story of success, okay? It affects the individual's perspective when it comes to their own career itself. Yes, sir.
Is this happening only after the pandemic, or did we see this already happening prior to the pandemic that we all experienced?
Actually, Sir Robert, it actually exists prior to the pandemic itself. Wherein, way back then, it happens. Okay, there's a possibility, but way back then, it's not properly labeled. But these days, the mental health, even the gender, Sir Robert, is properly labeled this day. So, meaning today, okay, brought by this trend, especially in social media, even the emotional issues that we do have right now, it's been labeled. And the 20 to 34 trap is one of the term being used these days, bro.
And Professor, now if a large portion of this age group now experiences stagnation, what are the consequences for organizational productivity, innovation pipelines, and national competitiveness?
Actually, sir, when it comes to competitiveness in business, if this will still continue up to this day, especially this year, 2026, there's a high risk that the business will be affected, and the numbers of unemployment will increase as well. So that's why we need to really manage the business, not only the monetary side, but also to manage the mental health of the employees, because the mental health really matters, especially these days. Because if you'll not be managing, there will be high turnover, meaning if there's a high turnover, meaning there will be unemployment and there will be issues when it comes to attendance even. That's why it's good, sir, that we can also propose for these offices to also give the employees on their own discretion to give the employees a mental health leave on their offices, if even at least a week, for example, if needed. So
Now,
it's a good. Go ahead, sir.
Professor, are we seeing now more companies looking into this and let's say putting more, hiring more psychologists in the workplace, giving more focus on the employees on how they are tackling everyday issues?
Yes, sir. Actually, it's one. Numbers of companies already have numbers of psychologists in there, especially for those individuals in the BPO company, sir. Because the business already routinary within 24 hours business side. Okay, it's good that the existing of psychologists on-call psychologists, or even at least nearest hospital that can be one of the best. One can be considered one of the best solutions, sir. Especially these kind of concerns.
Now,
Yes, sir.
Professor, based on your research or your observations, are there differences in how men, women, or different socioeconomic groups navigate this stage? And how should companies adapt mentorship and training to maximize productivity in the workplace?
Actually, sir, the difference between male and female, the pressure is just the same. Okay, but the emotional is quite different. The male in the male on the other side is quite experienced. They do overwork, but on the other side, on the female side, they do emotional overload, meaning they do express more their emotions. That's why it's good when it comes to the company itself to manage also getting perspectives, sir, to both male and female. Because if we do manage the both gender, especially in the management and the business, and through training, okay, having gender sensitivity can be one of the best strategies, sir. Because for example, I'm the business itself, it's good to get the perspective, having management of training, sensitivity training, even for both male and female, because male have personal issues on their gender, even with the female. Even on the LGBTQIA plus community, sir. It's good to balance both all of this because the idea of balancing, okay, especially because the 2034, sir, it's not
Yes.
just about the career itself. Even
That's
for
true.
some individual, they're also trapped when it comes to their gender identity. So that's why it's good to also balance that kind of idea, so at least the business will not be affected.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much, Professor Justin Ray Chavez, for breaking down the 28 to 34 trap and showing how young professionals can turn it into an opportunity for career success, financial growth, and long-term impact. Thank you.
Salamat, sir.
And we're taking a short break. Stick around. We've got more stories ahead. You're watching Business Brief. What seems like budgetary losses ends up as a safety net. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian defends the unprogrammed funds in the 2026 budget, saying they provide flexibility for emergencies and urgent spending needs. On Business 360, the Senate Finance Committee chairperson says recent reforms, including the removal of the controversial Sagip lump sum, make the 2026 unprogrammed allocations more transparent and less prone to abuse. Gatchalian adds that anyone questioning the constitutionality of the funds has the right to seek Supreme Court review, following a petition filed to declare them unconstitutional.
The unprogrammed allocations have been there for decades. It's been used for many, many years as a form of efficient allocation of funds. Second, if you don't have unprogrammed allocations, the executive will have to go back to Congress and request for a supplemental budget. And as we all know, the supplemental budget is just like any other law. It will take months to get that supplemental budget approved. So in terms of efficiency, it's not exactly the most efficient, especially when you need the funds right away. For example, if there's an emergency, or if there's an added source that we need to spend it right away.
Japan's largest bank is turning commitment into cash for the Philippines' clean energy ambitions. Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, or MUFG, completes its first sustainable trade asset finance transactions in the Philippines. The deal provides financial guarantees for more than 1 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity. The projects cover San Miguel Global Power and SN Aboitiz Power Magat, both part of the government's green energy auction program. The bank also issues a standby letter of credit to the Department of Energy, adding financial assurance to keep projects on track. Electric vehicle makers warn that cutting incentives now could halt the Philippines' EV ambitions before they take off. The Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines urges the Marcos administration to restore funding for two major programs removed from the 2026 national budget. These include the Comprehensive Automotive Resurgence Strategy, or CARS, and the Revitalizing the Automotive Industry for Competitiveness Enhancement, or RACE. Industry groups say the programs are essential to strengthen local vehicle manufacturing, a foundation that EV production depends on. They warn scrapping the incentives could weaken the broader automotive ecosystem that EV makers rely on. Funding for the incentives was part of the 92.5 billion pesos in unprogrammed items vetoed by the president. Political drama returns to the forefront, this time targeting the country's top two leaders. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. may soon face an impeachment complaint, raising the possibility of a dual impeachment alongside Vice President Sara Duterte. On Bilyonaryo News Channel's Business 360, Caloocan 2nd District Representative Edgar Erice alleges that pro-Duterte groups are discussing to file a case against PBBM. Erice says the complaint reportedly cites supposed betrayal of public trust linked to budget insertions and the flood control scandal.
Everything is volatile. Alam mo naman, yung mga nag-aaway, magkakampihan dati no, during the during the 2022 elections, they actually ran on a platform of unity. Pero ano nangyari? Nag-away-away. Hindi unity, may uni-away na, may uni-nakaw pa.
Even when the government borrows less, the pressure on spending can still bite. Former Budget Secretary Butchabad says presidential fiscal space runs only between 4 to 6% of the national budget, limiting funds for priority projects like poverty reduction and infrastructure. On BNC's The Spokes, Abad notes that Congress has trimmed appropriation cover for foreign-assisted projects, delaying implementation. Meanwhile, national debt continues to grow faster than GDP. Despite these challenges, Abad stresses the Philippines is far from a debt crisis. The more urgent task is ensuring enough fiscal space to fund presidential priorities.
Malayo tayo sa debt crisis.
Okay.
Yung debt sustainability is not a serious problem. Tsaka 80% of our debt's long-term.
Okay. Yes.
Tapos 5% lang yung short term. So, hindi pwede mangyari na magkakasabay-sabay na babayaran natin kasi pagmahabaan. Pero, dahil long-term siya, yung pera mo rin,
Naka-allocate na doon.
naka-allocate na lang, hindi mo na pwedeng galawin yun eh. Kasi priority yan sa lahat ng babayaran mo eh. So, which means, the more important concern is not so much the how big the debt is, kung hindi yung its impact on the availability of fiscal space so that you can fund your priorities.
You know,
Enrique Radon Jr. takes port expansion to the next level, boosting capacity while cutting emissions in Europe. Adriatic Gate Container Terminal, or AGCT, takes delivery of 2 new hybrid rubber-tired gantry cranes at the port of Rijeka in Croatia. The equipment arrives in late December, just weeks after the terminal adds 2 superposed Panamax quay cranes as part of a broader infrastructure upgrade. AGCT says the hybrid RTGs boost yard efficiency while supporting sustainability goals, using less fuel and cutting emissions compared to conventional cranes. Sometimes the biggest issues are also the simplest. Pulse Asia President Professor Ronald Holmes is urging Malacanang to focus on what really hits Filipinos' wallets. On Bilyonaryo News Channel's At the Forefront, Holmes says President Bongbong Marcos' administration should prioritize controlling inflation, creating jobs, and keeping the economy moving. The latest Pulse Asia survey, conducted December 12 to 15, confirms it. Inflation tops the list of urgent national concerns, followed by fighting graft and corruption, raising wages, reducing poverty, and generating employment.
The growth of the economy is important. And for the public sector, the growth of the economy means being able to create an environment that will invite investment. But more than that, being able to put funds where funds should be placed. So rather than underspend or be conservative in terms of spending, spend more, but make sure that the money that you spend goes where it is intended to go.
Philippine stock snapped its 3-day winning streak as it returns into negative territory. The PSEI closes almost 0.2% lower to 64.08. Majority of the sectoral indices ends lower, with industrial falling the most at nearly 0.6%. Advancers outpaced decliners 104 to 94, with value turnover at 6.8 billion pesos. The day's most active stocks are mixed, with Universal Robina rising the most, nearly 3%. Manila Electric Company falls the most at more than 2%. On currencies, the peso is currently trading at 59.30 against the US dollar, down from the previous close of 59.26. Apple is turning to Google for artificial intelligence in a move that strengthens Siri and Alphabet's market position. Apple announces a multi-year deal to use Google's Gemini models for a revamped Siri coming later this year. The deal deepens the tech giant's AI partnership and gives Alphabet access to Apple's 2 billion active devices, unlocking a massive market. Google says its Gemini models will also power future Apple Intelligence features. The announcement sends Alphabet's market value above $4 trillion, fueling optimism about its AI leadership. And that's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Robert San. Join us again tomorrow for the stories that help you plan your next big, bold business moves. Only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.